symptoms of depression or poor self-esteem prior to medical diagnosis. To the folks you've just insulted, be sure you're not surrounded by anything. I have to remind myself that even if I was the cause of every issue, I need to forgive myself and start again. Your whole world is about to change. We all know that despite the fact that life is full of disappointments and heartbreaks, it is worth living for and anticipating. To get around this, I can think of 3 ways to make our suffering seem less significant: an ingrained prejudice that the material world provides both a satisfying substitute for reduced suffering and an addictive numbing effect. The Constitution already places restrictions on how far we can go in pursuit of happiness. A negative emotional state can be attained with far less effort. 3 factors contribute to our plight. One source, originating in our bodies, is destined to deteriorate over time. Another, originating in the external world, produces wrath. And the third, originating in our relationships, is the last source to decay. A lot of discomfort is what you can expect to feel concerning the suffering that results from interpersonal interactions. Preventative measures to take into account: it's a state of distancing oneself from others voluntarily. Joy for the journey as we take in the sights, in order to protect myself from the world, and force myself to find a solution to the problem. I have to retreat from myself in order to maintain my blissful stillness. Selfishness is the best kind of defense, and an egoist can be an egoist and not realize it. Words are incredibly potent. The power of words can both bring us immense joy and severe sorrow. That is, you may bring no more than one guest. It might arouse powerful feelings and prompt immediate action. Repressed feelings tend to linger forever. No, they all passed away while still alive. The truth will eventually emerge, and it won't be pretty. From our weaknesses, we can develop our strengths. It's the finest that humanity has to offer, but some people will go to extremes in their quest to free themselves of their complexes, and such people need to learn to match their complexes so that the world perceives them as authentic. Fragmentation of crystals reveals their internal architecture only when they are broken. The act of introspectively seeing within oneself, knowing oneself, is the first step. You may wonder why you're experiencing the effects of your neurotic condition. Once I figure out what's going on, hopefully I won't fall ill unexpectedly in the future. If you don't know what happened, you can't be held captive by it. In the act of remembering, one finds independence. Those who aren't interested in moving past their shortcomings are, by definition, useless. Life is tough. Therefore, if you want to make it through, you should become used to the idea that you might die at any moment. Capacity for delayed gratification is a hallmark of maturity. In the case of extreme annoyance, the primary challenge is, when people criticize me, I know how to defend myself, but when they praise me, there is no strength in front of me to acknowledge that I was the lucky one. Nothing, since it didn't come easy. Small-scale faith in one's own thoughts. When it comes to major decisions, go with your gut. Having a loving family is the most important thing in the world. It's centered on the victim and given to his or her loved ones. As the saying goes, love is the sensation of a successful person for a lifetime to live with it, and for that success, love is the reason. In the end, it's confidence that will get you where you want to go. It's important for kids to have their parents' backs while they're young. The passing of one's parents, in my opinion, is the single most significant event in anyone's life, the most tragic event that may happen to a person, a total and complete loss. Intelligence that is exceptionally high in a young child. What a harsh comparison it is to the frail mentality of a typical adult. About the value of quiet, isolation, and nighttime. The majority of it was made because humans were mentally unbalanced. While they studied abroad, only be classified as a constituent part. People are great, and I really want to get out with them, but I feel awkward saying so in public. It's not uncommon for some people to be uncomfortable with displays of affection. Perhaps they are too afraid to show their emotions for fear of, worry that the worst-case scenario will happen. Unfortunately, though, the most humiliating aspect of human nature, although the relevance is fading inwardly, deliberate intent to spend time with one's beloved. Our humanity rests on two pillars: love and labor. All of it, from job to love, is magnified when scaled up. Loving others and being able to earn a living are two signs of a full and productive life, both of which call for creative thinking. How brave are you when we know we are loved? True love lasts forever. Though I've never been vulnerable to suffering in the throes of love, I feel completely out of it right now. Psychoanalysis is a form of therapeutic love, in which the focus is on finding solutions to the child's presenting problems. This isn't mere curiosity, it's love. The modest ones are the ones who love. In terms of humanity, this trait of narcissism is akin to selling one's possessions at a pawn shop. We get sick without love, but it's not fair that only certain people get to experience that. Gaining control of one's feelings for an object is essential if one wants to satisfy the impulse to love it. When you feel threatened, you tend to take a pessimistic view of the situation. Even though strong egotism is in opposition to illness prevention, we ultimately have to start doing it for the people we care about, so that they don't get sick. Illness is a sure result of emotional stress and an inability to express love. To be honest, I don't find much bad about people. In fact, the vast majority of them openly disapprove of ethical doctrines like this one. The vast majority of individuals treasure their independence. Because of my commitment to maintaining my independence, I refuse to. Since most individuals shrink from taking on responsibilities, I wouldn't call myself a scientist. I don't observe, experiment, or think like one. Just by my very makeup, I am a conqueror. I have no interest in joining any exclusive club of my kind. A person's inside quality is proportional to how flawless their outside is. A greater number of devils. We humans are more moral than we give ourselves credit for. No, we humans are not a herd species. To paraphrase the boss, the animal is the water. There is a major topic that no human being can keep a secret from those who have ears to hear. Have confidence in oneself. Rather than keeping silent, talk with your toes. A feeling of betrayal seeps out of every crack and crevice. People often get the wrong impression by employing standards to measure, giving the impression that they use their power for themselves. I can't shake the feeling that I'm underestimating the importance of respecting what's actually valuable in life to achieve success and money. Disturbance between otherwise similar persons stems from their fundamental animosity for one another. Despite their superficial similarities, just by comparing yourself to other humans, you can get a great deal of delight. Having a constitution that is almost impossible to obtain in the face of the very existence, all the ugly quirks of his dishonesty, lack of respect, and fear. His flaws are seen when applied to sophisticated cultures. Instincts drive adaptation, and intercultural tensions are the catalyst. The price of progress in human civilization, sacrificing enjoyment due to increased guilt, is a terrible trade-off. The basic relationship in a civilized society is between individuals. Hostility, a permanent threat to the receiving end of the branch, has been effective in taming man's aggressive nature. Nothing we can do will work even if we try. There is no way to promote change other than by military force. It's a form of self-reflection to place blame on others, provokes skepticism. It is typical for a person to feel relieved from religious constraints when they are no longer an opportunity to improve one's lifestyle and lead a more moral existence exists. Humanity's religious practices dated back to its early days. Sadly, The time has come to abandon humanity now that it has matured. Religion is a delusion, and our true motivators are our baser urges. Find solace in the idea that you are absent without the constraints of faith. Those who work to ensure that people everywhere have the possibility to enjoy a healthy, normal lifespan. We choose each other at random, and we're deep in the unconscious. You should only talk to real individuals. My discovery predates that of poets and philosophers, and it is the unconscious. There was a methodical, scientific approach to the research. Humans are the most irrational species, so rational, almost certainly won't have any bearing on insurance payouts. The answer to the question what can be done about bias is nothing. If you want to travel to the depths of your mind, nothing beats a good dream. In the midst of wild imagination, when the heart's deepest yearnings are at their most unbridled, a good person moves forward. While some people might be pleased to borrow their way to the life of their desires, the virtues, dreams patrol the night to make sure nothing disturbs a good night's rest. Compared to an ice sheet, the brain only takes up about an eighth of the space. Thoughts, emotions, and deeds all form in us, floating just over the ground by one, a potent driving factor apart from one's rational thought processes. In other words, there is a region of the brain that is still in the dark. You shouldn't put all your faith in the information that enters your mind, because it's often not the full picture. To gain perspective, one must look within. First, you need to become familiar with yourself. Inability to cope with uncertainty characterizes neurosis. Is it possible that our collective hysteria could produce something creative? To have OCD is to mock religion. False beliefs in paranoia are merely philosophical parodies. Books have the power to convey the delight that comes from imagining one's own death, which is the tightest definition of happiness we have. We think of ourselves merely as observers. Psychoanalysis' goal is to bring about emotional distress. There are ways to alleviate normal unhappiness by making all humans fall within the range of what is considered normal. Only, in certain ways, the human ego is crazy. How useful did you find this video to be? Here are the words of some of history's greatest men, as recorded in literature and oral tradition. Thanks for watching as I try to impart some of my life's knowledge to you.